Okay.
Tiny computer in my hand.
Let's. I'm assuming you want to go ahead and just go right through all this information.
Sure.
Yeah, I have a feeling. Let's go ahead and get this knocked out.
It's not
I'm
gonna
not
get
going to be
any-
here Wednesday. All right, multi-threading. This is where probably the, well, not quite the ultimate excuse, but this breaks away from simple data level parallelism that we've talked about previously, where you operate on vectors, into having two completely different threads of execution or parts of execution running at the same time that are supposed to help each other. Okay, there are different ways to go about this. Keep in mind that if you have different threads, that means you have different set of registers, another PC counter as well. So you have two full different execution units. Just think of our pipeline, our 5-stage in-order pipeline. You have another. You just copy that whole thing, including the register file, somewhere else, and you need to somehow make it happen.
Yeah.
All right. There's different ways to go about this. Fine-grained multi-threading is you switch between threads every cycle. If one thread stalls, others are executed. Coarse grain is you just wait till someone stalls and then jumps to another CPU. And then the complicated one is where we just try and issue as many instructions as possible that we can.
Shove it all in.
Shove it all in there and see if we can do it. So, how are these with implementing them? Well, with fine-grained multi-threading, you know that you're switching every cycle, so you just put in an instruction, switch, put in an instruction, switch, so forth and so on. So it's not too bad. You know what's going on. Coarse grain, you have to detect when a stall occurs and then do the switch, so it's a little more complicated because you're waiting for something to happen. This guy, you are just shoving as many instructions as you can in, and hopefully you'll fix all the problems later.
That sounds like a mess.
Yeah, this one is a mess. This is also known as hyperthreading.
Who thought that was a good idea?
Hmm?
Just shove things in there.
Well, hold on a second. Okay. I think this works best with an example. Now, be ready to do this example on a final exam, because you will. Except for instead of having colored blocks, I'm going to have solid brackets. So just be ready for that. Solid bracket, so you can actually type it in. Okay. Let me look and show you what's going on. You have different threads of execution. We are assuming you have a processor that can issue up to 4 instructions at the same time. So that's why some of the rows are 4 wide, because you can issue 4 instructions. When the whole thing is not being utilized, like for example, in the first one of thread A, you have 2 instructions and 2 blanks. That means that there's a dependency. Remember our read after write issue or data hazard? And the next instruction can't be issued yet because you have to wait for these 2 to complete. So this first one says you can issue 2, but you can't do anything else until you issue this 1. When you issue this 1, you have to wait. Those 3 can't be utilized because there's a dependency to the next one. Third line, you can issue 3, but not a 4th one because you still have to wait for these next 2 afterwards to, and these next 2 require those 3 to complete, so forth and so on. You'll see the hazards. When there's these spaces, that means that this guy has to wait this many cycles for those 4 to complete before he can continue. Okay? All right. Next. So, these are the different profiles of the different threads. Are there any confusion about the profiles of the threads? Before we go down here. Because this has to make sense before this makes any sense.
So it just goes down for each thread on their instructions.
Yeah, so cycle 0 or 1, you can issue 2 instructions. Cycle 2, next cycle you can issue 1. Next cycle you can issue 3. Next cycle 2. After that, cycle 4, can't do anything, can't do anything, can't do anything. That cycle you can. Okay? When you have the best way to think about it, pretend there's a lot of loads that have to happen. Remember, you always have to stall on certain loads. This guy has to wait for this much time to go by for these loads to complete. This guy just needs 1 cycle of load wait, something like that. All right. Let's go to our example of issue slot. So these are 4 separate threads. You want them all to execute in parallel, hopefully. Coarse grain, you start with the first thread until you can't issue anymore. So It issues 2. All right, we're good. It issues 1. Okay, we're good. 3, we're good. 2, we're good. 4, we're good. Uh-oh, we have to fully stall. Now it's detected a full stall. It needs to go to thread B and start issuing instructions there. So 3 there, 2 there, 1 there, 1 there for the next thread.
So it starts the next thread whenever it's stalling the first one. So
Whenever there's a full stall, right?
yeah, so they
Full
can have
stall
something else to do.
is one whole leg.
Right. Yeah, a stall. These aren't really stalls, they're just hazards. Think of these as hazards that can't be resolved, and this is a stall because the processor can't do anything yet.
The blank spot is a stall.
Right. Processor thread A is stalled, so it's going to start executing the next thread.
Okay,
Now-
so that would continue until thread B has that stall in there,
And then go
to
thread C until that's stalled, thread D until that's stalled. Then we return to thread A. Now here's the very important question. When it returned to thread A, can it start executing that instruction?
That depends.
The answer, well,
No.
in this
Because-
example,
well,
yes.
In this example, yes.
Yes, because all this time has
Because-
gone by.
Yeah.
And all those data hazards have been resolved because you filled in this time with other threads doing execution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So that's that's at least a way to improve performance here with coarse grain. Yes.
What would happen if, say, for example, you had like 4 bit cycles worth of stalls in
And
between,
you went through everything and you
and
came
then
back.
like if you were able to
Then it
go
would
through all-
stall and jump to the next thread
Oh,
because
so just go.
yeah,
okay,
just
we're
keep going.
to the next one
But
again.
in this example, when it came back to thread A,
So it would just
it would
jump-
still execute the next instruction because more than 1, 2, 3, 4 cycles have gone by. I mean, you
Yeah.
execute 1, 2, 3, 4 in thread B, so
Right.
thread A is ready to go.
Right. Okay.
So in order, you would do the stuff before the stall in A, then B, then C, then D, and then everything after the stalls in A, B, C, D.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
All right, so fine multi-threading. So that was coarse grain multi-threading because it just waits for a stall. Fine grain multi-threading, it's just going to round robin straight through all the threads. It's not going to wait for a stall. It's going to go issue here, issue here, issue. Can I do anything? Yes. Can I do anything? Yes. Can I do anything? Yes. So forth and so on. So it starts at thread A. It can issue 2 instructions. There's no hazard or anything. Good to go. Thread B, I can issue those 3. No hazards. Good to go. Thread C, I can issue those 3. No hazards. Good to go. Thread D, we're good to go. We jump back to A. No stalls or hazards. We're good. Jump back to B. Again, no stalls or hazards. Go back to C. I don't know why they have 1 block here. That should be 2.
not-
That should be 2. So when it goes back to thread C, why can we issue them? Well, it needed 2 cycles before you can issue here. Have there been 2 cycles between those 2 spots?
Yeah.
Yes. So it is basically injected useful work in those stall periods so that thread C can go back to executing. Okay?
Yeah.
Same thing with thread D. Have we had more than 1 cycle before the last one? Yep. So thread D goes back and just keeps going and alternating. So hopefully you can see fine grain is usually a little better than coarse grain
Yeah.
because it has a mechanism to interleave. All right, and now for the last one and the most confusing.
The hummus.
You start at the first thread, execute put in as many instructions as you can. If you still have open slots, go to the next thread, put in as many instructions as you can.
Shove it all in there.
Shove as much as you can in there as makes sense.
I like
this.
this. Almost completely full.
It's almost, that was the point, to try and make it as completely full as possible, although as we'll go through this example, and do watch me because it's going to take a little while to explain, you'll see why that last one, just nothing can happen. All right, so those 2, we got them. Thread A is going to be right here. We got those 2, so we're right here, correct?
Yeah.
We've issued as many instructions as we can. Go to the next instruction. We finished with thread B, so thread B is going to go right here.
We really need like another recording device.
Yeah, this one's, sorry people online, you are now, yeah, I don't want to tell you. So we go with thread C, we can put all 3 in there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to put our arrow right here for now. Actually, no. I'm going to make this easy to understand. I'll put my arrow right there.
Yeah.
We go to the next instruction.
That single little block.
Single little block. So D is going to go here, and a cycle has gone by, so we're going to advance thread C to right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is probably the easiest way to keep track of it.
Why'd you jump to?
I jumped 1.
Oh,
I was
okay.
here, now I'm down here.
Okay. Little boxes.
Yep. So we finished D. We need to go back to black. We can issue from black, so we issue that 1 black. And then we can go back to the blue and issue those 2 blues. And we filled up our entire pipeline. We're good to go. When we go to the next instruction, unfortunately, thread C and D are stalling.
Yeah.
So, but we can fill it with thread A. So we're going to put 3 of thread A in there.
Then you gotta
Totes.
move the other arrows down.
And then, well, hold on. And then we'll fill in thread B, and then we can move those 2 arrows down, because those stalls have finally resolved. And then we just finished what? Thread B's 1 unit right here. So that next cycle, why did they do
Oh.
2 black? That should not have happened. Oh well, that's interesting.
Well,
Oh no, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
we're right here. I guess in his implementation, he detected a stall here and went to thread D. Okay, that's fine. Filled in thread D, and then for some reason decided thread A was not good enough. So went to thread B.
I think it's broken after this point.
No, there is a method to this madness. It's very confusing.
Obviously.
Notice that they're all on the same level now. So
Yeah.
we're going to go back to A, and we're going to issue those 2 instructions. And then he decides to issue those 2. Okay, fine. Goes here, because he has not issued as many levels of instructions, I guess is what's going on. That's just a total guess. Oh yeah, and that's it for that cycle. No stalls, great. Now we can go into thread D, issue those 2 guys. Go back to blue. Why does he go back to blue? Because he's only at this part of the execution thread. So blue has been waiting. It's basically blue's next turn.
It's been waiting his turn patiently.
Yeah, he's been waiting his turn. And then they decide to go thread C because they're going to continue on. That's fine. And then we're going to go to the next instruction, in which case we execute all these with A. All right, let's see if I can do this right. And then I must have missed one with blue. Bluey. I must have missed one with him. But we can execute those 2 with D. So that's, oh no, that's these guys. So there's D right there. He's over here. And I don't know why B doesn't get executed. I must have missed one. I did miss one. What the point here is trying to say is that you've already executed those 2, that guy, and these 2 guys are stalling. Yeah, so you can't really do anything, and that's why you have your 1 empty block. All right, is that confusing enough?
Sure. He's a mess.
All right, who wants to do SMT in Verilog?
Nope.
I do.
Nope.
Pass.
Hard pass.
Hard pass.
Hard pass. Hard. All right. Yeah, it is actually very confusing.
Yeah.
But which of these 3 is obviously the best when it comes to
Fine. Well, no.
performance?
Performance,
SMT.
SMT.
SMT, right, by a long shot.
It's gross.
You're not
It's-
wasting any instructions.
You're not what they refer to is you are minimizing your horizontal waste. Because if you look at it horizontally, there's a lot of blocks that are empty, but over here you're filling them up. What's it?
We were like, yeah, I don't know what that means. But I mean,
Horizon-
it makes sense.
Yeah, it's called horizontal waste. You look at each line, you're making sure you fill in all the different squares, hence horizontal waste. Vertical waste would be, of course, going up and down, which can happen in all 3 of these, but is not as big of an issue.
No one cares about the horizontal.
This guy, the guy that came up with this, got I think got best paper award. It's one of the came up with SMT. He definitely won that conference. And it's inside of all your Intel processors, and AMD is actually about ready to come out with theirs as well. Every time you hear hyper-threading, that's this, except for with having, instead of 4, you just have 2.
Hyper-threading is AMD's version of.
Hyper-threading is Intel's version of SMT. I forgot what AMD called theirs, but I remember reading they're going to release one soon. Any questions on this? You will see this on an exam. Period.
Oh.
Will we be asked to do like course, find, and SMT?
Yes, I'm going to give you these threads. How many cycles? Show me how many cycles course takes, find takes, and SMT takes.
So calculated.
Yeah, calculated. If you give me the wrong answer and don't show your work, you don't get any points. If you at least show me some work and you have a wrong answer,
How do we show
okay.
our work on this?
I made what I did is I made open and closed solid brackets for each of these, or you can make these all minuses, stars, slashes or whatnot, and then just pull it out the different rows.
It's gonna be a
So
mess.
that's not all of the course, right? That's just part of it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, this is only part of course grade.
Okay, so
That's
if we
good.
put that, we'd be wrong.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
you
you
gotta
want
keep-
us to put, so that's going to be a lot of time.
So it's going to fill out this one. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. You were saying the way you would be able to test was in brackets. Did you like draw what you did by that?
I actually, now talking to you, I'm going to change this.
Oh yeah. Good.
I will make them different symbols. Like this guy will be minus, him will be plus, maybe he'll be forward slash, and then this guy will
Star.
be star. Yeah, there we go.
Just so you know, like which instruction we're talking
Yeah,
about.
exactly.
Okay, that's cool.
How's that?
Yeah.
Make more sense?
Yeah, better than brackets.
Yeah, otherwise I was using brackets and that was, I can
Brackets
see
are
now that
okay.
that's way too confusing. This is easier.
So basically, what you would do is you'd make a diagram for course.
Right.
And be like, okay, here's.
Here we go, minus, minus,
Yeah.
minus, 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 minus,
Yeah.
minus, minus,
SMT is just.
and then down here you
Yeah.
plus. And then
Yeah.
SMT of
I
course
guess
would be
just
minus,
don't-
minus,
Yeah.
plus, plus, and then you'd have
Plus.
Yeah.
plus,
Slash,
yeah,
slash,
slash, slash, slash, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I don't like brackets.
Any other questions?
I like the fact you're using negative markers.
Yeah, it comes out. Future of multi-threading. Will it survive?
Nah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, hopefully y'all can see it's just more and more multi-threading. Power considerations, simplified microarchitecture, simple. All right, fine. Wow. I don't see.
wish you could record your
I don't
face.
see why this is useful for y'all. Shared memory. All right, let's take a break here.